Welcome to the Trump Tyranny Tracker. We're a little bit late today. It'll be abbreviated, but we thought we had to do it because there's so much going on in the news today. How are you, Olga?
Good. My hair is about to
Oh,
stand
looks
up.
great. Looks good. Let's start off with the tracker today because it's so much to do today. The Justice Department has removed a National Institute of Justice study that concluded that white supremacists and far-right extremists commit more domestic terrorism than any other group. The deletion occurred just days after Charlie Kirk's assassination attempt, as Trump officials now vow to target what they're calling the radical left instead. I mean, we've been seeing this playing out in the news. We're seeing it everywhere. This is a giant shift in thinking, but also a giant shift in data that they don't have to back it up.
Yeah, and not only that, this is extremely authoritarianistic. Because here you have a report of tracking violent acts that have been committed that primarily are committed by the far right. I believe the report said 70% is on the far right, 500 something incidents. And right after Charlie Kirk's murder, you have the Justice Department removing this report because now they want to have a specific narrative that it is the left who is carrying out these acts. Meanwhile, if you look at the report, I mean, the far left, the amount of crimes and the deaths resulted from the crimes was minimal compared to what was happening from the far right extremists. And the fact that you have, one of our, again, tax-funded agencies removing the report because it doesn't suit their needs. You know where this happens? In Russia. They're constantly, whenever they have an agenda to push or something, an economic agenda or whatever the agenda is, they make sure that the agencies match the agenda, all the reports match the agenda. Today you have a report, tomorrow it's gone. That's why it's so important to weigh back everything.
So it's not just about agendas, right? It's about narrative building for them in a big way. As they're building sort of a narrative around what happened with Charlie Kirk's death there as well, they need the data to support it. And so they're creating this data or eliminating data that doesn't support it. I mean, it seems as simple as that, as you point out. They're just seeing what matches their current thinking.
Yeah, and once we get into the government removing or adding data that matches their agenda, I mean, we're in very dangerous territory because
And
the
we
government
are.
sorry, just to finish, the government is, supposed to create policy based on the findings that are supposed to be nonpartisan, not opposite, that you create, have an agenda, then you create findings or remove anything of that, that doesn't match your agenda. And that's it. So.
Well, that's what he did with the jobs report, right? He fired the person who compiles them. It's not the way to do business in a democracy. The second story, now to mass surveillance. A data broker owned by major airlines, including American, Delta, and United, has sold access to 5 billion ticket records to the FBI, ICE, and Secret Service without any warrant requirements. The Airlines Reporting Corporation contract covers 270 carriers and 12,800 travel agencies, providing names, itineraries, and financial details for warrantless government searches. What's going on with this?
So we've been warning about them building a surveillance state. The surveillance state is here now. Here you have airlines who are handing information, private data of ours, to the federal agencies without a warrant. Yesterday we discussed 30 million immigrants, not undocumented people. These are immigrants. Whose names were run through a database. Again, for absolutely without us being aware or whatnot, because they're trying to build a national registry. And that's it. The surveillance state is here. We're seeing week by week it escalating. The first few months, we saw them compiling all this data, fusing it from different agencies, acquiring it from private vendors, which some of them were extremely sketchy. And now you see everything, now that they've put the infrastructure in place, now you actually see them testing it out. So.
Are we talking about data for travel that's still happening, or is it archives of previous travel? Do you know? You don't know. Just don't know. Okay.
If the government would be kind enough to tell us what kind of data they're stealing about us.
Because it is
But
different
I
knowing
do.
that, if you're going on a trip, that the government knows you're going on a trip
Oh,
is very different from
don't
saying,
worry, they'll be
historically.
there.
Yeah, I'm sure
Don't
they will
worry.
be. Our third story involves corporate transparency. Trump is reviving his push to eliminate quarterly earnings, which again is unbelievable. Quarterly earning reports, at least, arguing companies should only report every 6 months to save costs and let managers focus on properly running their companies. This aligns with the long-term stock exchange's lobbying efforts at the SEC that would dramatically reduce corporate accountability to shareholders and the public. And that's really what this is about. This is about letting corporate managers do what they want to do.
And more so, it's about the fact that they all donated to him, and he basically was bought off, and now is carrying out agenda for them because they gave him money, and who knows how much money they are continuing to donate to him, and especially with midterms coming up. Again, once this is the same thing as the first story we covered. Once you start having data moved, removed, manipulated, we're in a bad territory because the whole point of a democracy and the reason that the United States was set up with a million agencies and websites is for transparency, that at any moment you want to go look at something at HHS or the FBI or court systems or wherever it is that you want, you can access this data. It's not being manipulated, and that's it. And here we are now where they don't like data and they will manipulate it. Now, wait till it comes to economic data with jobs reports and everything
Yeah.
else.
But, it's really important that companies report on a quarterly basis. And it's much easier for them to do this now with AI. It's not as complicated as it used to be. So it's not as much of a, onerous job for the managers. It seems really it seems in the opposite direction. You'd want them to report every month rather than every quarter. And they're choosing to go every 6 months. It's very unusual. And it's
Well,
also,
don't
we know
forget.
why. Yeah.
Trump is screwing the economy so bad that, I mean, if it'd be up to him, he'd literally force every company not to report anything, not price increases, not job losses, not, losses taken to the company from his erratic tariffs and everything else. I mean, not shutting down potential projects in the United States like that shameful, disgusting thing that happened in Georgia at the Hyundai
Oh my
plant
gosh, that was
that
a crazy
has
story.
yeah, that
It's
has South
unbelievable, and
Korea.
it almost didn't make the news. It was such a big story, but it's still, it passed us all by. But it's like it's unbelievable. These people were treated inhumanely, as we were about to find out. So this is the fourth
Yeah.
story. Seoul has launched a formal investigation into the treatment of over 300 Korean nationals detained during a September 4th ICE raid at the Hyundai LG EV battery facility near Savannah, Georgia. Returnees report being shackled, held in overcrowded 70-person cells with moldy beds and no interpreters. Even the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State has expressed deep regret over these detentions of allied national citizens. But it's, this sounds like really inhumane. And why would you do this? Why would you do this to a company as well that's investing in your country?
I mean, they're investing tens of billions of
Yeah.
dollars in this country. And, this story caused such an outrage with South Korea, an ally of ours, a key ally.
One of the main
I
ones.
mean, first of all, it is bad enough that they walk into this plant and grab people indiscriminately, shackle them as if they're some kind of criminals, put out propaganda videos, which is exactly what Russia's FSB security services do when they're carrying out these type of operations. So it's bad enough that they did all of this. These people were here to train Americans.
Mm.
They weren't here because they're living here and they love America and they, are trying to get a job here. They were here because they were here to open the plant. Unless Americans know how to open a Hyundai plant, then you need these people here. Not only that, in all of this whole wrap up, dragnet, they detained business executives who were here for meetings
It's unbelievable.
on valid visas. You want countries to invest in the United States. This is how you treat their citizens. And then you have these ICE thugs. I could just imagine.
Mhm.
Here you have South Koreans with their culture, with their own, set of ways. And then you have a bunch of masked thugs
Yeah.
running in, grabbing everyone, shackling you, making jokes about you,
Mhm.
throwing you into, horrific conditions until your government sorts this out. I mean, this is the biggest shame for America. And I wish it didn't happen. And this is going to result not only in South Korea rethinking future projects, but any other country. I mean, do you think knowing how Middle Eastern people are treated here, you think the Saudis are going to send people here to open up a
It's
plant?
almost like they're intended to send a bad message to other business leaders around the world. It's almost like this was an intentional thing to say, "Hey, we're not going to treat you well." It's like it's such a dramatic mistake on a diplomatic level, on a business level, on every level, and just appalling to do this to an ally. Like we would never ever expect them to treat us like that, and here we are treating them in this appalling way and putting them in shackles. Just unbelievable, but also unbelievable. No, I can't imagine because I've lived in my corporate life. I can't imagine being in a business meeting and these ICE people coming in and dragging people away as you're trying to do a project, is trying to start a factory or putting up a TV show, whatever. It
No,
seems
and can you
unbelievable.
imagine if we sent Americans overseas, to open
Yeah,
up a plant? And these are the propaganda videos. You see local security services grabbing our Americans, hundreds of them, shackling them, humiliating them,
yeah.
putting out a video. I mean, the whole thing is so
It's
disgusting. It
so
gets me
bad.
outraged.
It's just terrible. The fact I still don't know what that was all about, and I don't think they know what it's all about either. Finally, a very concerning military development. I can't believe the story. I'm just going to read it because, as it says here, Russia has invited U.S. officers to observe joint military drills with Belarus. So Russia has invited U.S. officers, American officers, to review military drills with Belarus as they do these exercises that include tactical nuclear capable missile scenarios and electronic warfare drills with partners like India and Iran. This is a rare gesture, and it comes as Moscow's talks with Trump on ending the Ukraine war have stalled. But I mean, this has never happened before, and it
I wish
sends the worst signals.
I deal with Russia, all the time and anything Russia related. I read this story and I was like, what the fuck? That's
Yeah.
my answer. I don't even think we had it prior to 2014 when Russia invaded Ukraine. We definitely didn't have it prior to 2022. After 2014 and prior 2022, before Russia launched a full-scale invasion, but still was, carrying out war in Ukraine. And here you have not only Putin sending Trump to hell, basically, and telling him, like, F off, we're going to continue our genocidal war and there's nothing you could do to it. We have then on top of it, Putin pushing, it further by sending 19 plus drones into Poland, deep into Poland, not by
Mm,
accident that
mm,
it fell on the border. To top that off, you have some of those drones that came off from Belarus. They were shot from Belarus into Poland, just like Belarus was a staging ground for the full-scale invasion of
right,
Ukraine in
right.
22. And then how does Trump react to that news? He lifted sanctions off of the, Belarusian airline in exchange for 52 prisoners being released, which is like 3% of what Lukashenko is holding. And
Unbelievable.
then that wasn't enough. Let us all whitewash and normalize a thug. I mean, Lukashenko is just as much of a thug as Putin. He commits the worst human rights abuses, and he's frankly an appendage of Putin. There's
Mhm.
no
I
you
remember
know,
they stopped an airline mid-flight in order to get one of the dissidents off that flight that was flying through their airspace, but it was just flying through their airspace, and they got their plane to land. That's how seriously they view, the world's rules and laws, and it's unbelievable that they could do something like that. So, but what is the point behind this? I know we have to run, but what is the point? Are they trying to teach us how to stage these kinds of exercises here in the United States? Are they going to come to our exercises in the United States? Like, are they going to be jointly operating on the military front? I mean, what is going on?
I mean, the
It's
whole thing is so absurd that maybe they're preparing for joint operations. I
seems
mean,
like it.
things are not, are that crazy that I could absolutely picture Trump joining with Russia, to further escalate Russia's genocidal invasion in Ukraine, roll tanks into, Estonia, hit Poland, Moldova. I mean, Putin's
Greenland,
appetite
Canada, you
is
name
quite
it.
a big.
Well, that's the Trump tyranny tracker for today. We're a little later than we thought we were, and we're ending a little late. Sorry, Olga, but hopefully doing whatever you're doing next works out well. And we'll be back tomorrow on the Trump tyranny tracker. Thanks for watching, everyone, and bye,
Bye,
Olga.
everyone. Bye.